This episode is Separation is the Wound Behind Every Wound. There is a truth that sits out there underneath every single other truth. And most people never name it out loud, so I think it will be interesting to discuss, and it is very important. And it's this. Every problem in your life, at the back of it, is a problem of separation from God. Now, I'm not saying that like a moral thing. I'm not saying like, oh, you messed up, so now God's angry. That's, of course, nonsense. No, the Bible points to something much, much more important and deep and human and relevant than anything like that. So think back to Genesis 3. Open it up if you want to. This is the moment that Adam and Eve step away from God's voice. When that happens, something tears on the inside of the soul. Of everyone, of them, of everyone's sense. You know, they start to feel bad. They start to feel sadness, shame. They're afraid. You know, they hide. And that hiding has echoed through every century since then. I notice that we often talk about anxiety like it's some kind of brain chemistry thing. And we talk about anger like it's just a personality trait, even though that's obviously not true. And we talk about emptiness like it's just some part of modern life. But underneath it, there is an ancient ache. An ancient ache. It's the ache of being disconnected from the Maker. The ache of being disconnected from God. The ache of being disconnected from divinity. Right? We all have that ache, even Jesus. Now, if you look at some of the prophets and heroes of the Bible, you know, like Isaiah or David, you can read things that support this easily. You can find all kinds of stuff. There's a place where Isaiah says, you know, your iniquities have separated between you and your God. There's a place where David talks about, you know, he's asking, restore to me, you know, the joy of thy salvation. Restore, right? Restore. Not give, restore. Paul talks about how that we're far off until Christ brought us near. We were far off. So that's the whole story. I mean, that's the story of Scripture. Humans walking away and God still walking toward. Over and over and over and over. And this part is even stranger. Pain is the alarm system of separation. Pain is the alarm system of separation. Now, the tithe collectors and otocs will tell you that when you do something wrong, you're punished. That God may be angry and silly things like that. No. It is the soul saying, you're trying to live without the vine again. Come home. That's what pain is. It's an alarm system. Jesus did not come to set up a staircase to God. We've talked about that before. There's also a song about that. He came to tear down the wall of separation. He came to bridge the gap. He came to pull you and me and everyone we know, yes, including you, yes, back into the life that you were designed for. Paul calls him our peace. We've talked about in other recordings, peace is actually a deeper word than we use in English, but you know, he calls the Lord our peace. So that means like our peace and our harmony and our reintegration. Now you notice he does not say anything like our technique or our methods or our theology. He certainly doesn't talk about theology or doctrines. That's all nonsense made up by people. You know, he doesn't talk about our philosophy or our methods of coping. He talks about our peace. Okay? And peace is not a feeling. Peace is a person. Peace is a person, and a peace is the right result we are looking for. So when I've heard people say that their heart feels hollow or numb or they feel frantic, my sense is they're not broken. They are disconnected. It's different. And at that moment, you know, you turn your face toward him, and even if it's weak, even if it's a mustard seed level of faith, something in you starts breathing again. If you do this, you will see it every single time. Every single time you feel weak or, lost, turn your face towards him. Even the tiniest amount is enough. And something in you will start to be alive again, wake up breathing again. The vine, reconnects to the branch, of course, as you know. The shepherd finds a sheep. If you're if you're exiled, the exiled hears his name in the distance. Jesus does not say, work your way back to me. He says, come unto me and I will give you rest. Rest, peace. Every disciple eventually discovers this, I think. So sin is not something as simple as breaking rules, although it's a convenient word to use for breaking certain kinds of rules, but it's running from the one who loves you. And salvation is not a checklist, of course. It's a reunion. Life flows again, light returns, and the hope lifts its head. Because once the separation closes, every other healing can finally begin.